You've stumbled into a podcast. Let me tell you which one you're listening to. It's called Binge-Watchers Podcast, even though I'm considering changing the name altogether, which you wouldn't know because it's the first time you've heard it. You have no idea this rambling maniac. I call myself a maniac. I usually never call myself a maniac. I'm more of a sociopath. Look up the clinical definitions. Get back to me about that one. They call me Johnny Spoiler because I have a tendency to spoil movies on accident because I'll describe the plot, the happenings, what I love about it, and then it leaks out. I'm sorry. Can't help it. I only spoil the movies I loved. Joined as always by Jordan Savage, who's so savage, it may or may not be her actual name, and she's a savage character from history, a living Viking, if you will, with eyebrows so strong they'll make you go blind. If you stare at them directly, you'll turn to stone like Medusa. Just kidding.
It's true.
She's the savage scream queen who can review a movie without having seen it. That's what makes her so savage. I can just tell her a movie like, hey. And then she'll be like, oh, yeah.
Wrong. Just kidding.
Yeah, insert movie. Exactly. See? Robot jocks. Anyway. That's a movie, folks. Look it up. Yeah, you're here for, I don't know. Hopefully you'll get entertained. If not, we'll waste 45 minutes of your life. You can't get it back. Play another podcast. You already have. Are you skipping around on iTunes right now? Are you trying to why did this automatically play? What is this? Whatever. Home video headlines. Let's see what's going on in TV and film. If you want to know, if you're a movie fan, aficionado, movie buff, average fan, or you're just bored and you can't find anything on Netflix. Well, the new Fear Street movie from Netflix is going to be based on the book called Prom Queen, which is in the same Fear Street universe as the other movies because they're all based on R.L. Stine's book series. And Prom Queen is pretty interesting. That's one of the Fear Street books that I've read. I read this one, which I don't know if I talked about this last year. One of his best books in that series is oh no, wait, that's Christopher Pike. Never mind. All right. I may not have read, Christopher Pike wrote a really cool horror novel where there was a witch who trapped her friends inside of a fake version that they towns lived in. But I had mistaked that for, you know what? This actually sounds like a regular podcast. The podcaster is misinformed, doesn't know what he's talking about, drops fake knowledge.
Wild tangents.
Lets people know, wild tangents, lets people know that's a podcast right at the top. No, Prom Queen is interesting because in that story by R.L. Stine, all the candidates for Prom Queen are being murdered.
Oh.
Taken out one by one. Yeah. And that's what moves the plot. So if that's the next Fear Street movie, it sounds like a great adaptation. The Fear Street movie trilogy previously was kind of like a slasher with some time travel because they started in 94, then went to 78, and then went to 1600s or something. Because they're fighting they're fighting a dead witch through all the movies, and she the people she killed in the 70s came back, were trying to kill them in the 90s, and then the people from the 90s got sucked into the 70s and then into the 1600s, and I'm not sure. I didn't watch the whole trilogy, so I don't even know.
I haven't completed it yet.
I assume the kids finally win by the time they time travel and fight the witch for 3 whole movies. All I can say, dude, is if you're a horror movie fan, the kills in Fear Street 94 or whatever are freaking awesome. And as far as horror movies on Netflix go, that's one of the best ones they've ever done. If you want something a little more timid, you're looking for something that's entertaining but is family friendly. How about this? The How to Train Your Dragon series is going to be made into a live action movie. It's kind of a cool idea. I mean, the dragons in that show are kind of unique. Some of them are silly, but the Nightwish one, or is that what his name is? No, Nightwish is a Finnish rock band.
Toothless. Everybody knows Toothless.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
but he's a night flyer or something. He's a nighttime dragon. Anyway, he's a dragon that disappears in a cloud of lightning and smoke or something. But
I don't know if that is Toothless, but that's the only dragon that I know.
Well, there's a Viking kid named Hiccup, and his dad's a Viking, and then Gerard Butler did the voice of the dad in the cartoons, and he's coming back to play the Viking or whatever in the live action, so that's cool. Yeah, I think the dragons are unique, and the story was funny, so hopefully it'll be a good live action. Who knows? In other news, zombie sequel news. I don't know if you ever saw. Did you ever see 28 Days Later, where London gets infested with zombies? There's a viral outbreak.
I think so.
So the main character is Cillian Murphy, and he wakes up. Oh, yeah. This is the movie that put him on everybody's map over here in the U.S. anyway. And it was kind of also the first movie that introduced fast-paced zombies because they're really just kind of they have a rage virus. So it's not exactly traditional zombie stuff, but they so he's like, I don't know what he's in. I don't know the backstory of why he's in the hospital, or if I've forgotten. But his character wakes up after the infection is spread, so he wakes up into like a ghost town and is stumbling out of the hospital, going like, what happened? You know what I mean? And then like all these rage monsters are on the loose, and he hooks up with some other survivors, and they spend like a month trying to avoid the zombie plague. And then there was the sequel, 28 weeks later, but I don't think it had anything to do with the original producers, and obviously the characters were not there from the first one. And it's okay. That sequel's okay, but now they're gonna do 28 years later.
Ooh.
So I don't know. I guess it would have to be like a different version of the virus. The virus comes back because even at the end of the first movie, they were already adjusting to life with the outbreak, and I don't remember if they came up with a cure in the second movie or not. Again, like the second movie is not that good, so I've watched 28 Days Later. Which, you know what's funny? What's her name? Who's the actress from Speed? Dang it. She's also in The Proposal. Sandra Bullock, okay? She's
Love
in a
her.
movie about alcohol recovery, and I think it has the same title. It's like called like 28 Days Later, or just called 28 Days. So previously, people have made the mistake of like, am I watching a zombie movie or a rom-com about an alcoholic?
You know, I would make that mistake for
you
sure.
would like, John, am I watching the right movie?
Sandra Bullock. No, it's funny. Last week you mentioned like there's movies that are really, really hard to find, like, you know, to actually watch, and 28 Days Later is actually one of them. We were trying to watch it.
Not available anywhere.
Yeah, and it was just like impossible. We were just running into like trailer after trailer after trailer. So I'll definitely have to put it in the road.
Tonight's movie is hard to find. I thought surely somebody has downloaded this and scraped the internet for it. I was looking on Daily Motion, Internet Archives. I thought it'd be widely available on a streamer somewhere, that they would pop it up like on. But no, none of the streamers had it. It's like a paid rental only. It's Starman. What I can tell you, it's an alien visitor movie. It's the top of all those alien visitor movie lists. If you're looking for other movies in that category, I'll share with you some of my favorites. Batteries Not Included, Coneheads, or a movie called Paul, which is kind of like, with the exception of Batteries Not Included, the other ones kind of have like aliens trying to. Well, Paul is also an alien that's trying to leave the planet, like Starman. And then in Coneheads, it's like aliens trying to live among us. And then Batteries Not Included is kind of more observational aliens, but they're like tiny little robotic aliens that fly around. Like, and that is like the saucers are the aliens, right? Anyway, so after the theme song, we'll be back. We'll be talking about this movie called Starman. Man.
Crack open a cold box of wine or pour something cold on ice, because it's the Binge-Watchers podcast.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking about at the beginning of the episode, but I could definitely play a podcaster in a movie about a podcaster based on the way that I started the show. I don't know. I'm not drinking enough energy drinks, clearly. Let's see. Tonight's movie is called Starman. I mentioned it before the break. It's about an alien that answers NASA's message, which is intended for aliens. But the alien, he's coming down to make contact with us. We blow him out of the sky. That's right. Nothing can get into our airspace, so we shoot him right out of it. And then the alien's floating around outside of his spacecraft, and he kind of like peeping Toms into some lady living by the lake. And he's flipping through a scrapbook, and there's DNA of the husband. So he absorbs the DNA. It's like, you know, people who are sentimental, they scrapbook and they put things in scrapbooks. So there's some hair from the recently dead husband's hair's ponytail is saved in the scrapbook, and the alien scans it with his, I don't know, alien technology, and then just decides, hey, I'm just going to clone myself right here on your living room floor. Sorry, mind the rug. The Persian rug is now ruined with all the alien goo and fluids. And he clones himself and looks just like the husband, kind of scares Jenny, played by Karen Allen. And of course, Jeff Bridges is suddenly there naked in this lady's living room. I have a Video Hound book. It's called the Video Hound Golden Retriever book, and it's like basically a encyclopedia of movies, and it has 3 bones because it's a dog book, so there are 3 bones. But I mean, I'm sure, hey, ladies or Jeff Bridges fans, you're getting 3 bones for Jeff Bridges naked as an alien in Jenny's living room as the Starman. And I mean, he was coming here to observe our culture and because the whole premise is based around the fact that Voyager 2 is floating around outer space somewhere with here's what humans look like. Here's what we sound like. Come down and hang out with us. And so he's playing back the messages. That's how he learns to talk. And then he's got these cool little metal ball things that are his tools.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of just being a floaty, gooey orb thing, again, as I already said, he's like a clone of the dead husband. Then they hit the road. He's got to connect with another spaceship in a couple days. And so they hit the road for Arizona, of course. That's where, they say oh, come down to Roswell, New Mexico. It's the alien superhighway. Nah, brah. Have you seen the brochure for Arizona? It's all happening in Arizona. Anyway, the military they're chasing him, but they don't, whatever. Of course the military's chasing him. They shot him in the first place. Anyway, it's pretty dramatic. Yeah, I'd say it's a drama. I wouldn't call it a rom-com. The science fiction is interesting, but kind of I guess it is pretty sci-fi in some ways. Anyway, it's the most unlike John Carpenter movie of the John Carpenter movies. If you watch this movie and if his name wasn't on it, you wouldn't assume that it was John Carpenter because it's not really. It doesn't sound or look like a John Carpenter movie, even though it's his movie. Anyway, we'll see. Right after these messages, we'll see what our favorite bit. Actually, no, we got to do the. Jordan has to present her savage stats from freaking Starman. So we'll do savage stats, and then we'll take a little. Okay. So I was saying, I almost forgot. I was trying to jump ahead. I got so excited. I was really about to go deep on Starman, this week's movie. By the way, they're driving around in an awesome car. If you're into muscle cars, they're in some souped up thing. I didn't write it down. It's like a GT or a Mustang or I don't know. That's the other thing too, is the alien takes the time to learn how to drive a freaking muscle car. But anyway, before I got super excited, I was going to say all these things. And then I was like, oh yeah, I got to give Jordan time to take over and do the savage stats of the movie.
Some savage stats.
Yeah.
All right. I'm reading it off my phone today, so bear with me.
The best way. That's how a professional podcaster does it.
Actor.
Don't tell them our trade secrets. So
yeah, seriously. A little BTS for you. Actor Jeff Bridges studied ornithology and the behavior of birds to actually prepare for this role as an alien. He figured that the alien would have no idea how to act like humans, so it'd be super primal, and so used a lot of sudden jerky head movements, a lot of other nuances and mannerisms that typically come from birds as a part of his personality for Starman.
See, that's interesting because I thought he studied foreign travelers at the airport or people with developmental disabilities or something, because
birds.
Birds?
Yeah. Well, and they refer to him as a foreigner throughout the entire movie. They're he's not from here. He's not from here. And they just assume he's a foreigner.
So I guess the weird way he walks, I guess he based that on birds.
Interesting, right?
It wasn't coming across as birds to me. I looked at it and I guess maybe because at one point it looks like he's floating on he must have been walking on his heels or his tippy toes or something because he's his movements are definitely abstract. Again, especially in that beginning sequence where I told you it was
he's a little naked.
Yeah, just a little naked.
I do have a fun fact about that, actually. When he walks outside the house naked and uses the first marble, his hair, the whole hair scene where his hair stands up on ends, the effect was actually created by them filming him upside down, and then they matted him right side up on the background to give it more of a surreal look. And then his father, Lloyd Bridges, actually did the same thing in a comedic way in the movie Airplane, 1980. So I thought that was interesting. His dad did a little throwback for, this specific.
Looks like anime hair, like he's powering up because, like,
yeah,
I don't know what they call them, techno balls. I mean, you called them marbles. I don't know what the movie refers to them as, but basically, the aliens toolkit is 5 or 6 metal spheres that are marble sized,
and they do all sorts of things.
They have incredible power, lots of functionality, but their power is also limited because it's like it uses a bunch of tremendous energy to do things. Like one turns into a laser map that appears in the car, and then it expires. He feels threatened by there's a roadside situation, and the girl's like, "I've been kidnapped," and the guy walks towards him threateningly with like a crowbar, and he melts the crowbar, but it's too much energy just to melt the crowbar. It also blasts a tree. So these little balls have like nuclear energy.
Right. One is used to save her too, which is pretty wild. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like yeah. So some. It's a weird movie because it feels in some ways grounded by technology, and because of all these alien stories that are coming out now, and the stuff that what's interesting about this movie is the stuff that's happening in the movie. You go, oh no way, the military would be on it; they'd be collecting this, and then we just had in Congress 35 years of documents. Like, no, this is exactly how it plays out. This is exactly what they do, and it's exactly like this movie. So, like some of the technology seems super far fetched, almost magical. And then some of it seems super grounded based on the things that we're hearing about in our own world, shaping our current reality. So, give or take.
Wild. Director John Carpenter wanted to use the United States of America as essentially the back law, or our own very back law. And so the cast and crew traveled from Los Angeles to Las Vegas, then Winslow, Meteor Crater, and Monument Valley, Arizona, east to Nashville, Chattanooga, and Manchester, Tennessee, then upstate New York and Washington, D.C., and then the film company returned to California to complete the filming at the Burbank Studios. So they went all over.
So they really hit the road. They're like, we got to get out there. We got to get out there in the country. We want this to be a movie on the road.
Yeah.
Questing to get him to his return takeoff ship. E.T. for home bullshit. We got to get out there on the road.
It's funny that you mention E.T. because...
Oh, no. She's like, I love how you're acknowledging my interruptions because you're like, it's funny that you said that. And funny that you said that because guess what, Johnny? It ties into this.
Well, I was thinking like during the movie, I was like, okay, this kind of feels a little bit more of like this rom-com, like more mature, like E.T., right? He's essentially an alien who's stranded on this, planet and needs to go back to his home planet. And, he's kind of cheeky. You kind of like fall in love with this character. He's super adorable. Jeff Bridges is like very likable in this movie. E.T., I've always fell in love with E.T. Just because he's like so cute, and it just it's heartbreaking when you find him.
Actually, I know a girl that's like terribly frightened of E.T., that he scared the shit out of her, and imprinted in her memory is that E.T.'s a fucking monster.
That's terrifying. But these movies were.
Wait, do you agree with her impression of E.T. or you?
No,
love E.T.?
I love E.T.
No, she's like she can't like I was gonna be a fucker, and like we were coworkers at a marketing department, and I thought like Secret Santa, give her a fucking ET doll.
Oh my goodness!
Just to screw with her.
When you see him and he's like white and he's like laying in the water, I was just like sobbing, just crying uncontrollably. I think he's super adorable. But these movies were essentially being made at the same time, and they decided to do this movie instead. And then E.T. kind of like went out and obviously crushed it, and it was a super big hit. So this movie specifically was actually put on the shelves for like 3 years just because they were kind of similar storylines, but not the fact that I was going to go
sorry, Jeff Bridges, you can't compete with a 4 foot tall alien,
adorable alien,
yeah, who drinks beer. By the way, if you've seen the original cut of E.T., he drinks beer and
he gets all drunk. Yeah, it's adorable. You mentioned Big Trouble in Little China the other day on your social media, and so we got a little fun fact in conjunction with that. According to John Carpenter in the audio commentary on Big Trouble in Little China, the main reason he directed Starman was due to the box office disaster of The Thing 1982, and he needed to make a movie that was tonality the complete opposite of The Thing to ensure his employability in Hollywood. So there you go. That's the stats.
Yeah, so he intentionally made this movie look and sound a million miles away from his style of filmmaking. Yeah, so that kind of registers with what I was thinking earlier, right? So anyway, I didn't know she was gonna justify what I was saying. Thank you for them savage stats.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I'll just mention a couple things. There's a new flavor of Sneak Energy. It's called Yellow Snow.
Interesting.
It's not your little brother peeing in a cup going, hey, try this snow cone. It's actually like lemonade or lemon type. So if you love yellow snow, maybe you're a pervert and you want it to be piss flavored. Find out. Go ahead. We have an affiliate link. You could order their Yellow Snow energy mix with their new, like, they also have a shaker on theme or whatever. And then let's see. Later on in the staff picks, I'll be talking about the show called Mayor of Kingstown. I finally sat down and watched some of it. There's 2 seasons available. Jeremy Renner's coming back for a 3rd season. Surprisingly, I mean, that guy like escaped death and is now back to acting.
Good for him.
But we also have an affiliate code for Paramount Plus. So if you want to watch Mayor of Kingstown and see what Jeremy Renner's up to, or, if you're like, well, Yellowstone's never coming back, so what else do we got from Tyler Sheridan? Well, like Mayor of Kingstown on Paramount Plus, which is like about, I don't know, the unofficial leaders of a prison town. Like there's like 10 prisons in a very small area near the Great Lakes in Michigan or something, and it's about the family that like unofficially runs them, and then shit falls apart and like all the drama emerges from like the domino effect of one thing affecting the other in this community, in and out of the prisons. Yeah. So favorite bits from Starman. What do you got, Jordan?
Okay, my favorite bit is how you just have to completely get over the hurdle that she's like falling in love with an alien who looks exactly like her dead husband, and then he like gives her a baby. So I'm just like, okay.
You know what I also think is really funny is I didn't realize, like, they talk about what's universal communication. Like they're like, math is universal because math doesn't have any creed or agenda or prejudice. It's just numbers. And so we can all relate to numbers. Or music. Like Spielberg makes an alien movie called Close Encounters of the Third Kind. We're communicating with math and music. This movie sets another universal trend. The hit it and quit it father, the absent father. He's like, sorry, I gotta go up into this other. The mothership's here. Gotta go, baby. By the way, you can't come with me because you'll get, I don't know, disintegrated because you're not cool enough, or like. And he's like, maybe I'll check in on the kid in 35 years.
Dad went to go get a pack of cigs on another planet and then never came back.
The best pack of cigarettes story, like, yeah, Dad, went out to buy a gallon of milk, never came back. Went out to buy cigarettes,
came back. Yeah,
never came back. Dad went to another fucking planet. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't think they can send him child support payments to fucking Mars.
Well, he did leave him the very last marble, so maybe there is some sort of like wealth power associated with the last marble. Yeah.
Hey, if Junior ever comes looking, like, wish I could stick around and tell you what alien puberty is going to be like, but I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah. Just thought that was like, I'm like, so we're just going to like be okay with her.
Definitely to see the Earth, and if, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
That's really what he gets back to. The other aliens are cracking open like a sixer in outer space going, hooked up with an Earth chick.
Yeah. Just thought it was interesting.
To be fair, another movie from the 80s taught us that Earth girls are easy.
That was
it's like a British accent. It's like an American girl being attracted to the English guy simply because of accent. And he could be like, oh, he's not the prince. He just works at McDonald's. But because he's got the accent, you think he's a prince, right?
Right.
So it's like, I mean, he is an alien. So if you want to you have a bucket list, like, hey,
just check it. Yeah, I guess
exactly.
you're right.
So, like, English prince, charming. Down here is like, what if I do meet an extraterrestrial? Check it off.
There you go. Yeah. So just thought that was a very interesting hurdle that we had to get over. You just had to get on board with the train and be like, cool. So she's not having an issue with this alien that came back of like that looks exactly like her dead husband, and she's just like,
yeah. But from a standpoint of themes, the whole idea for her is like her character only gets closure after the road trip with the alien because she's having a hard time letting go of the husband,
right?
And then, but somehow puts it to bed. By the second time he leaves, she can handle it.
Yeah, I guess we're here for it.
You're like, no, he abandoned that child and flew 300,000 light years away.
I don't know. It just sounds like, I don't know. How do you you're falling in love with someone that she was conscious that's not her husband, because she's like very much aware of the fact that like he's not her dead husband, but she's just like game for it anyways. I don't know.
But it's
hard hurdle for me to get over.
Like this movie and a couple other movies like Contact have this idea that like the aliens will appear as your loved ones to lower your guard.
Makes sense.
To make you more
maybe to be well, and he does say that blatantly. It was like, I took the shape of your loved one so that you wouldn't be spooked, essentially. So good rule, I guess. What about you? What's some of your favorite bits?
Well, I wrote down the all-purpose metal balls. I thought like they're pretty cool. I don't know what they're actually called. Marbles, space marbles. Some kind of wrench. I don't know. You know what I mean? Who knows what they are for them. I like that they set limits, even though it seems like unlimited power in each little ball, the balls extinguish themselves. So if, it's like a match. Like if you use it to heat something, it's gone. And like,
it's clearly finite. Like he gives the last one to her. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, yeah. So again, like, what is his job? So he's a surveyor of the universe, or like he's the guy that gets sent out on a recon mission. So I'm like, okay, so they hand these pilots or these alien dudes, like they get like 5 or 6 issued in their utility belt, and that's it.
Yeah.
However, he's a glowing ball of energy. Then he gets gooey, and then he's the clone. So where were the metal balls? Where did he? Because they just kind of appear on the living room carpet, like they roll out of his transmogrifying alien goo.
Alien afterbirth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when the sack breaks, we have magic balls. We have magic marbles. I like that the SETIan scientist was like well informed. Like at first I thought this was kind of a joke, but then again, we've had these congressional hearings now where they have like 60 pages of information and it kind of lines up. But like he puts together very quickly. So it's my favorite bit, but it's also kind of unbelievable. Like he's puts together very quickly, like, oh, I think they cloned the dead husband. And the director of like the National Security Agency or something, he's like, hold on, you mean to tell me husbands were dead for 2 years, the aliens somehow cloned him? Are we cloning people currently? No, director, we're not currently cloning anybody, but we can assure you that he's been cloning this dude.
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, so yeah. So it's one of my favorite bits, but also it's a little that actually is maybe far-fetched, I guess. And then again, I gotta go back to the tone of the movie. Like, it's very different from John Carpenter's movies. Like, if you watch The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China, even Halloween, or They Live, like there's the way he moves the camera around, like it feels and looks very different from his other movies. So I gotta give him, that's my also favorite bit, because if his name wasn't on it, I wouldn't have known that he also made this movie. How do we rate the movie? On our show, it works like this, folks. Binge now means get to it now. Binge later, watch it later, but put it on your list. It's decent. Binge never, you've wasted your time. We've wasted your time. Don't watch this movie. Although, somehow Jordan convinced me like 4 episodes ago that from a philosophical point, there is no binge never. because something draws you in to watch the movie, even if it's bad, even if you hear us talk about it, you might inquire out of curiosity in human nature, not just to abandon your alien baby, but to then go watch the movie that everybody says is not worth watching. Anyway, Jordan Savage, how do you rate Starman?
It's in between a binge later and a binge now for me. It was really good. It was cute. Love.
That's a binge maybe. I think
it is a binge maybe.
We at one point when we were indecisive, like she's being for some reason, like we had to make
you get one every now and then. Okay,
we had to make these half ratings.
Yeah, it's a big BM, binge maybe. Yeah, that's just I in between the later and the now, like I really did like it. But yeah, that hurdle's still a little hard for me to get over, but we're here for it. It was cute. So he was adorable, and very likable, and that's why he made it work. So
the first time I watched this movie, I had just turned the movie on and it was already playing, so I didn't know exactly what was going on. So obviously you can kind of figure it out. But it was the diner scene where he's examining the dead deer on the top of the hunter's car, and then they deal with the deer.
Yeah.
Does this little alien magic. The concept of the value of human life or whatever, I don't know. So, I mean, I kind of like Starman. Like, I've had enough distance from seeing it the first time to seeing it now that I just, I like it. I like alien visitor movies. Like, this is where you go. I would say, like, go here first.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a binge now. It's simple. I just like the idea. I like the idea. I like the people in it. No problems. Karen Allen is from Indiana Jones, but she's great in this movie. And I don't know. I think that's what it is. Like the idea that like a fish out of water story versus like a quest that they go on, and it's a road trip movie. So you have one character that's clueless but has to get somewhere, and the other character that's reluctant, doesn't want to be involved, but is dragged along anyway. And then you throw in a little bit of alien sex. What's not to like? Like,
love it.
Yeah, and it's a 2-hour movie, but it's kind of breezy. It doesn't actually feel like that long of a movie. This one moves well enough. And also, if you haven't seen movies on film in a really long time because of HD video and how crappy special effects are now, like, film is starting to look good again. Like, there was a period where we were just transitioning from film to HD, and the HD was making the film composites, and when they changed the film into HD for high-definition TVs, like, it looked really shitty, and, like, you could see things standing out in the frames, but lately, to me, movies on film are starting to look really fucking good again. So, like, the way they, like, right when she just, even in fact, she's smoking a cigarette watching 8mm film of her husband, and she's playing it off her little home film reel, player thing that she has. But we're actually looking at her. So when it's showing her face and she's smoking a cigarette and it's like half lit, you're just like looking at compositions of shots. Like, and I'm like, oh man, like film looks really good again because like HK videos is like so fake and like CGI is so fake. Like in the early days of computer generated effects, it was like trying to trick our minds that like this could be part of our reality. But now it's like almost like it's intentionally computer generated, so we know that it's fake, right?
Right.
Like special effects in 2024 are like, guess what, guys? This thing is not here. We know it's not here because it's too silly looking. It could not. There's no way it's interacting with a person in 3 dimensions. It's the monster or whatever, dragon, alien. What else did they make it? Oh, there's a show on Disney. There were 2 movies actually. It's like the Olympians or something, where one of the kids like the son of dang it, Greek mythology, Poseidon. So he's the half son of Poseidon in like modern day, but like all the demigods and gods and goddesses from Greek mythology, they're all there. But something on the Olympians. I can't remember the name.
Is it the Percy Jackson?
Yeah, Percy Jackson series. Yeah. So they made a new show on Disney Plus or whatever, and you watch the TV spots for it, the commercials, and you're going like, man, like The Gorgons look like shit. The flying whatever they got there, whatever chimeras, whatever the freaking monsters are, like it just looks not good. You know what I mean? Like, because so it just brings you out of it. Like I can't suspend my disbelief. I can't believe in the imagination of the make believe because it's no longer make believe. You're not making me believe it. Like,
right?
Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh man. I'll take a breath. Yeah, very punk rock, as nerdy as we can get about movies. I told Jordan at the start of this year, this is going to be like a punk rock version where I'm mad at all the movies and I'm pissed off at this stuff and I'm just going to let everybody have it. And I'm just like nerding out right now in movies. Where are we? Oh, staff picks. So if we watched anything else, I think I already mentioned I've been digging into Mayor of Kingstown, which is a prison drama on freaking Paramount Plus. But I've also been watching, it's from the 90s, but Michael J. Fox made a sitcom about being like a deputy mayor of New York City in like the mid 90s, right before like, it's just when he first started dealing with his Parkinson's, right?
Yeah.
So actually, if you watch the episodes closely, you can see that he's like super animated and is moving a lot. So clearly, like he's just developing the onset Parkinson's, right? And I think like if you watch the documentary that they just made about him, which I think is on Apple TV, like he talks about that. Like that's the time where it was like really happening and he was already on medication. And the part is very kinetic. Like he never stops moving in that show. And so you think like, oh, so what in reality, behind the scenes, he's really dealing with the disease and the medication and everything that he's on. But in the show, his character just seems very animated. You know what I mean? Very active character. But I mean, the show's pretty funny. So it's about like him and his staff, right? Kind of like Office-esque, right? There's like just the people that run the press for the mayor and try to get the mayor out of trouble every week or whatever, It's Spin City. I don't know. Do you ever see this show?
No, but I'll have
when
to
you
watch
were 3. Like, did you?
Yeah, right.
Were you
watch
watching
that?
sitcoms on Thursday night comedy when you were 3?
So funny. I went to the movie theater. We decided to.
Whoa! What?
Yeah.
Movie theater?
I know, but we saw a bad movie, so it's still an event for me. I still love going to the movie theaters, but yeah, we went and saw Night Swim. Pat likes to see scary movies.
You know what though? I really wanted that to be good. I wanted that to be a good movie, a good idea. A haunted swimming pool.
I love the idea because I mean, who wasn't absolutely terrified of the pool growing up? You know, if you thought about sharks, like you'd actually get like
for some reason they can get you in the pool, right? Even though
yeah,
for some reason you're just like, oh yeah, they can get me anywhere.
And so I was like kind of hoping that it would like give me a little bit of that feeling of like being a little bit scared in the pool, thinking that there's like a shark underneath you or an underwater creature. I'm going to
ask you to spoil it. Like, did somebody die in the pool and there's the ghost that kills everybody else, or what?
No, I thought that would have been really good because I think I could have got a little bit more on board with that. But essentially, it's like these ancient like waters that the spring has healing qualities, but it actually has to take a life in order to give a life or give life in a sense. And so like
this is getting dumb very quickly.
And so it's like it would have been better if it was just like a spirit had haunted the pool essentially, but it was like this like ancient spring before anybody developed there that like had magical healing properties. And so it's like it had to always take a life in order to, and it like dated back, generations, and they figured out that like, lives were taken, but it's like also has this healing quality. So yeah, that's just kind of where it lost me. It was like, meh, could have been cool because, whatever. But still love going to the movie theater. And then we watched The Prisoner or Prisoners with Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman.
Oh yeah, this is an intense movie. I think it's a foreign remake.
Interesting, yeah.
And it's also got they misidentified the killer. Like, so basically, I know what movie she's talking about. So somebody steals their children or something.
Yeah, like so two girls get kidnapped. Yeah.
And then they catch a guy who's actually a grown-up victim of the actual people that are doing all this shit.
Yes, and he doesn't know that he's a grown-up victim, I don't think. Like, I don't think
No, and
that's
they
blatantly
torture the
obvious.
shit out. They burn him with boiling water and stick him
Yes.
inside of a wall and do crazy, crazy, crazy stuff.
Yeah,
It's a very
pretty
intense.
wild.
This movie's like very visceral, very intense. You feel like you're really part of a crime scene. Like this movie's almost like too intense to watch.
I didn't think so, but I didn't like how it ended because it just like leaves it a little bit. It's like a cliffhanger for sure, and I'm just like, darn it, I want to see
how they're
resolve.
screwing with people is actually a super cool, ingenious, very fucked up thing.
What do you mean, like Hugh Jackman's character?
Well, how they were doing it, like it involves like this is so funny because we're about to watch a movie. We're about to watch a movie that's very similar.
Interesting,
because like in Prisoners, people it's like snake venom and people get buried alive in the ground and shit. And we're about to watch a movie where people are getting fucking, you know, buried and shit. You know, so like
yeah.
But
it was good.
Later this year, or actually maybe is it next week? Is it already here? It might be here already. We're gonna watch another American remake of like where is it? Who made this? I'm not sure who made it. We're gonna watch The Vanishing, which is like another thing where like there's a twisted dude and he puts victims in the ground and they're still alive and messed up stuff happens.
Yeah. I've been on a crime spree. Again, not actually committing crimes. I'm just on a spree of watching crime movies. So
and the modern American woman. I don't know why you're so trauma bonded. What has happened? Because somebody left you and your alien baby on the side of the road and took off in a spaceship.
That's what it was.
Trauma bond.
Yeah. But that's what I watched. Yeah. Anyways,
all good choices. Like I actually still want to. That the Fountain of Youth is just also has a dark side. What a Night Swim. I really was hoping. I mean, if you watch the preview, you think it's a haunted swimming pool.
Haunted swimming pool. That's what I was hoping for. Haunted swimming pool. But no, it's like it's like all mythological and stuff, I guess.
Well, what are you gonna do?
Wait.
I'm sorry, did you have something to say? No? Okay.